Okay, so hello and welcome. Please turn off your microphone during the writing class. Mostly your writings should be done in the chat box. So we'll write the essay by pieces and I will give you my feedback. If someone hasn't turned off the microphone, how do I? Oh, there we go. Okay. All right. So our topic today is going to be advantages and disadvantages essay. If you didn't take part in our previous lesson, I would encourage you to have a look at it. It's in the distance learning system. The recording is available. We discussed expressions that can be used to write advantages and disadvantages essays. Anyway, you'll be able to see them in my sample. So the topic today is in many countries around the world, life expectancy is increasing. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this situation and give your own opinion. So basically it's an advantages and disadvantages type of essay, but at the same time they ask you to give your opinion. And the first thing we're going to write is the introduction. For those who are newcomers, I will remind you that introduction usually consists of three basic parts. And this can be a broad general statement on the topic, Then you can paraphrase the task. And then you give an outline. It means the plan. In this essay, I'm going to write this and that. Or an opinion. Or in this example, I'm going to use a rhetorical question. Okay, so broad general in many countries around the world, life expectancy is increasing. And you can say that, well, like in this example, medical care over the past century has improved dramatically, right? And then you can say life expectancy is increasing. As a consequence, the world's population is increasingly living long into old age. All right, and now we're going to say if the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, or if we think they do. You can write in this essay, I'm going to look at or touch upon the advantages and disadvantages, but I decided to use a rhetorical question. Is this having a harmful effect on societies across the globe, or are there more benefits than drawbacks? Okay, so there are three sentences in the introduction. Now you have 5 minutes to write your own three sentences. Please write them in the chat box and we're going to discuss. I'm going to give you my feedback. Okay, I hope you can all hear me. Okay, so Ivan has written his variant. Let's have a look at it. So in recent years, the level of development in medical sphere has been increasing, all right, or has increased. Okay, let it be. This leads to raise of average lifetime. Okay, there are two terms that are normally used. That's lifespan and life expectancy. Average lifetime is not a natural collocation in English. In this essay, I will discuss benefits and drawbacks. You need to say the benefits and drawbacks of this phenomenon and express my own opinion. Okay, that's fine. And one more thing, Ivan, you can also say this has led to raise rather than this leads to raise. Just another option, and it will be beneficial for your grammatical range. So. All right, so now Natalia's variant. It wouldn't, so try not to use contractions, would not. It's you need to use formal or neutral style. So it would not consume much time to realize that our life has changed dramatically over the last 2 decades, and the life expectancy is not an exception. Okay, some drawbacks and benefits of this issue will be mentioned in this essay. Not mentioned is probably not a very good word. You can say touched upon or discussed. Because mention is just to mention, but you're going to develop your ideas. You're going to express them, develop, support, and so on. Yes, well, discussed would be fine. Okay, so for those who have written, you can move on, move further. Those who are still writing your introduction, please do so. I will give you my commentaries. In the first main body paragraph, you can either discuss advantages or disadvantages. I will discuss disadvantages, and then I will say that advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Okay, let's look at Ivan's introduction, and then we'll move on. So medicine in first world countries has increased impressively. No, you don't need that. You're talking about medicine in general. So it helps people maintain health on a good level. In this essay, I will discuss all benefits. Well, you aren't going to discuss all. You're going to discuss just one or two. So first of all, don't write all. But if you write all, then you say all the benefits. But this is not your task. If you discuss all the benefits, you need to extend these ideas, support these ideas, and make conclusions, which is virtually impossible within 40 minutes. So I will discuss the benefits or some benefits and drawbacks, and I will give my own opinion in this case. Okay, or I will express my own opinion on this matter. That's another possible variant. Theoretically, you can use inversion here. Not only will I discuss all the benefits and drawbacks, or not only will I discuss some of the benefits and drawbacks, but I will also give my own opinion on this matter. That will be advanced grammar, so if you want. Okay, so the first main body paragraph can be either about advantages or disadvantages. In my example, you first have disadvantages because I'm going to say that advantages outweigh the disadvantages in the end. So I start with the weak point that I do not really support. So I will remind you that normally the easiest way to write a main body paragraph is to write a topic sentence. It's the main idea of your essay. So Ivan said he wants to touch upon all the advantages and all the disadvantages, but one or two will be enough. So in the topic sentence, you express this, what is the advantage and disadvantage, and then you expand your idea, kind of explain. You say something like, this is because, and then you support your explanation, your idea, with an example. And after this, you make a mini conclusion. It's called a wrap-up sentence. This is the easiest way to meet the requirements of task achievement. This is not the only possible way. You can also give alternatives. You can include consequences instead of conclusions. So all different types of structures are possible, but this is a very easy structure to follow. Okay, so here is my example. One obvious issue. Issue means like a problem or disadvantage. One obvious issue with an aging population is that it can create enormous demands on a nation's health service. Okay, then I explain it. As people live longer into their old age, the chances of them suffering from serious illnesses increase. And then it's kind of a mini conclusion. I don't give an example here because I have two advantages. It will take too long. As a result, the likelihood of them requiring medical treatment becomes higher, and it becomes more difficult to provide care for everyone, right? And then I talk about another disadvantage. A further downside is that living longer does not necessarily bring happiness. And then I explain it. By this, I mean an older person is unable to do many of the activities that they want to do, leading to the likelihood of depression and deterioration of their physical health. Deterioration means something becomes bad or worse. All right. Well, the task said advantages and disadvantages. It means that you need to include at least two advantages and two disadvantages. Now, while we are practicing, during the lesson, you can just write one advantage or one disadvantage in 10 minutes and then explain it, maybe give an example, and then write a mini conclusion. All right. For those who have already written the introduction, please write your first main body paragraph. And if you're writing the introduction, please finish it. I will have a look at Vitali's variant. The National Academy of Health constantly measures index of life expectancy, which expresses the average of years for a person to live in the scale of mortality indicator. As a result, it has been found a significant raise. No, a significant raise has been found, or a significant raise of average life expectancy. Life expectancy, there are two different words. significant raise of average life expectancy has been found or has been discovered. In this essay, we'll discuss without about. I will discuss the advantages and disadvantages. Life expectancy, life expectancy, life expectancy, and 3 times the same spelling mistake. Try to paraphrase it by saying lifespan, for example. Okay. So, first main body paragraph. Okay, so let's look at Ivan's variant. To begin with, government has to increase health and wealth expenditure to maintain appropriate living rate for elderly citizens. They do not work, thus tax amount paid by them is miserable enough. Okay, I would recommend here, just to increase your grammatical range, you could, instead of the government has to increase, you can use a subjunctive mood and say it is high time the government increased. Just we'll add just a little bit of complexity of grammar, and that will be beneficial for your grammatical range score. It is high time the government increased, like this. This is a phrase that I recommend to everyone. Whenever you're writing about the government, say, it is high time the government did something. All right? To illustrate, my grandmother receives pension but pays taxes for preferential rates. Moreover, it's one word, moreover, some seniors are exempted from tax completely. Beyond any doubt, increasing of life expectancy leads to extra expenditure for government, well, either for governments or for the government. Okay, very nice. Beyond any doubt, you can say beyond a shadow of doubt. There's another expression. If you want, you can use this. But okay, that's a very nice paragraph. So now you can start writing about the second aspect, the second main body paragraph. Okay, so let's look at advanced variants. Increased level of life produces many people who are able to buy many unimportant things. Nowadays, people use too much stuff. Well, first of all, two, the spelling is double O, and second, stuff, it's spoken. You're writing an academic essay, and it is not suitable in terms of style. So you say too many things, for example. Okay, you've already used things, so stuff is not suitable. Then they need an then, also spelling THAN. Okay. and it produces pollution, or I would say it causes pollution. It's better. It causes pollution and it is very harmful for the environment, but it's the same. For example, comma, plastic was very expensive material, was a very expensive material 80 years ago, maybe approximately 80 years ago would sound better. And now everybody is able to buy plastic stuff. Stuff is a very spoken word. It's very colloquial. Beyond any doubt, the government has to develop not only medicine. Okay, you can use inversion. Not only should the government develop. It will sound more advanced in terms of grammar. So not only should the government develop medicine aspect, the medical aspect, but also manage the consumption of natural materials, articles, the consumption. Okay, right. Okay, so Vitalis variant. Considering the disadvantages of increasing life expectancy, there is the extreme fact, not extremely, it should be an adjective. There is an extreme fact that people may wind up suffering longer with some debilitating conditions that currently cannot be cured. In recent years, a government of definite countries, governments of some countries, spend, it's plural. So a government of, then you need to say of what country, and it will be the government. Or you can say governments of some countries spend significant amounts of money on the treatment of certain diseases. This case negatively affects the development of a certain country. Okay, well, either you give an example of some country like Zimbabwe or Honolulu, something like this. But you're writing sweeping statements. That's overgeneralization, and it's very bad for your task achievement. So be more specific. All right, so for those who are finishing the first paragraph, you can write the first paragraph. You can copy it in the chat box. Now, moving further, there is the second main body paragraph, and here's an example of advantages. Having said that, one obvious benefit of people living longer is that young people can benefit from the wisdom handed down to them by older members of their families. In today's fast-paced world, it is often comforting to seek advice from older generations. Consequently, the physical health of a grandparent is almost irrelevant, as the children and grandchildren will benefit from the experience of an older mind. What is more, retired people today are generally much healthier than they have ever been, and often enjoy their lives more than they did when they were young. They have the best of both worlds, a family that can care for and look up to them, and better health at any time in human history. Okay, so Natalia's variant. No doubt the most beneficial point of the tendency to live longer is the opportunity to communicate more with close relatives. Thus, the experience of the whole life can be shared personally by grandparents tete-a-tete with their grandchildren. Nevertheless, every coin has the other side. So do the life expectancy. So does the life expectancy. Existence with grandmother or grandfather is rather difficult. Okay, maybe living together would sound better. Sharing a flat or sharing accommodation with grandparents is rather difficult, as the offspring has to listen to notifications from morning till night. It's called edification, нравоучение. So it's normally uncountable. Edification is the rather than notification. So there's the word. Okay, so Ivan's variant. On the other hand, despite the age, many people are actively involved in the cultural development. For instance, some famous writers started to create their own masterpieces being at the age of 70 or more. Okay, as a result, our cultural legacy can be expanded as spelling is different. Expanded like this, with an A in the middle, dramatically due to their contribution. Okay, very nice. Just make sure that you meet the requirement of 250 words, because the second paragraph looks a little bit, well, a little bit small. Maybe you can include some idea here before an example. Despite the age, many people are actively involved in culture development. You give an example, and here maybe you can give some explanation as the second sentence, because 3 sentences is not always enough. It might be enough for task achievement, but not enough, not enough for the number of words. But if in the end you have 250 words, then no problem, absolutely. Okay, as an advantage, I would consider the quality of life in old age. Recently, old people began to enjoy their life. They travel a lot because they have good level of health, and in Europe, old people have an impressive pension. As a result, people have less stress, or people are less stressed. and they live longer with better quality of life, okay, or enjoying better quality of life. Okay, for those who have finished the second paragraph, you can write your conclusion, where you can summarize all the ideas. Yes, Ivan, sure you can. So pension is uncountable, so we don't, just a second, let me open your question. Pension is uncountable, so we don't need to use article at all. When a person receives pension, normally it's uncountable. Yes. You can use article the if you're talking about concrete pension, but if you're talking about well, pension in general, you don't use a. However, when a person receives pension once, you can call this a pension. For instance, you can say, I had, for example, I had an ice cream. Well, ice cream is normally uncountable, but when it's a portion, or I had a whiskey, a double whiskey in a pub, because this is just a portion, yes? So normally it's uncountable, but when you're talking about one specific time when a person receives a pension, you can use a. When you're talking about with uncountable nouns, you can use the, but you normally don't use. Okay, let's see. All people begin to enjoy their life because they have an impressive pension. Yes, here how they have. It would sound even better in plural. They because they have impressive pensions. That's right. Thank you for your question. Okay. So Ivan's variant. There is a set expression in conclusion or to conclude, and you need to put a comma after that. I would say that the increased level of life with an F, is more advantage than disadvantage. No, it just doesn't make sense grammatically. Has more advantages than disadvantages, because progress is it does not stay. Well, it doesn't sound very nice. And in the future, I believe that we can decide. It's not decide. We can solve the problem, or for your lexical resource, you can say mitigate the problem of pollution, really, and keep high quality of life. It's kind of deviation from the topic when you're talking about pollution, because your essay was not about pollution in any way. So it's not really suitable here. All right, so let's have a look at my variant of conclusion. Weighing up both sides of the argument again, complex sentence. Although there are a number of problems that old age brings, predominantly health-related, the benefits that it brings to the family unit and to society as a whole are impossible to ignore. Okay, so having a look at both sides, although the government governments probably spend a huge amount of money to keep living rate for seniors, their contribution to cultural legacy can hardly be overestimated. Okay, very good. In my view, the benefits outweigh the drawbacks. Okay. Oh, then if it says spends, then okay. The government spends. Yes, sure, Ivan, you can. Okay, so you said there was a list of academic phrasal verbs that might be used in the essay. Where can I find it? There is a book that is called Academic um, Writing and Use or something like this. Just write me after the lesson. I will send it to you. Just write me a message. If I don't forget, well, if I don't forget, I will send it myself. But if I forget, then just write me and I will send this book to you. It has a list of these phrasal verbs. Okay, so Natalia, your variant. Try not to start your sentences with but or and. Instead of but, you can say however. However, it should not be forgotten that the longer people live, the more probability they have to achieve better results in mental activity. So it will be very profitable for the whole human civilization as more masterpieces will be created in order to make this world more attractive. On the other hand, the humid side of human activity cannot be omitted as along the positive deeds people are able to commit crimes. Cannot be omitted as along the positive deeds, along with, probably that's what you mean. So, or besides the positive deeds, people are able to commit crimes. Okay, right. So if there is anything else you would like to share, please copy your writing. In the chat box, I will read my essay as a whole one. Once again, the task is in many countries around the world, life expectancy is increasing. Discuss the advantages and disadvantages of this situation and give your own opinion. So, medical care over the past century has improved dramatically. As a consequence, the world's population is increasingly living long into old age. Is this having a harmful effect on societies across the globe, or are there more benefits than drawbacks? One obvious issue with an aging population is that it can create enormous demands on a nation's health service. As people live longer into their old age, the chances of them suffering from serious illnesses increase. As a result, the likelihood of them requiring medical treatment becomes higher, and it becomes more difficult to provide care for everyone. A further downside is that living longer does not necessarily bring happiness. By this, I mean an older person is unable to do many of the activities that they want to do, leading to the likelihood of depression and a deterioration of their physical health. Having said that, one obvious benefit of people living longer is that young people can benefit from the wisdom handed down to them by older members of their families. In today's fast-paced world, it is often comforting to seek advice from older generations. Consequently, the physical health of a grandparent is almost irrelevant, as the children and grandchildren will benefit from the experience of an older mind. What is more, retired people today are generally much healthier than they have ever been, and often enjoy their lives more than they did when they were young. They have the best of both worlds, a family that can care for and look up to them, and better health than at any time in human history. Weighing up both sides of the argument again, although there are a number of problems that old age brings, predominantly health related, the benefits that it brings to the family unit and to society as a whole are impossible to ignore. Okay, so that was the essay. I will stop the recording here.